Expand your small ideas. What do I mean by that? So, a lot of times throughout the day, or throughout the weeks, we will get a little small inkling of a good idea, but it just kind of hangs there. And it's a little spark, it's not like a giant insight that like hits you like a brick that completely changes your life. It's a tiny, little piece of hay falling on your head. And you're like, what was that? And what I've noticed in this, a habit that I have really locked down is that anytime I get any, interesting thoughts or insight, where it's just kind of fleeting, I take time to expand on it. It starts off with a small idea, but then I'll write it down, and then, I'll expand on it, I'll contemplate about it, or I'll do a speaking routine like this, and I will try to speak as much as I can about it. And then what I end up doing is I end up unlocking a whole new world that would have otherwise disappeared, and been forgotten if I didn't take that time to write it down and figure out like if there's any gold here. And one of the best ways I've really maximized the growth of of myself and my own personal development is by creating these self-reflection systems. See my video, Create Self-Reflection Systems. Creating these systems where I can capture a small insight, and from that, I can riff on it. I can try to extract more. I can mine in that direction and see if it bears any fruit. And a lot of times it does, and it can be small things too. It can just be like just a small, simple problem that I have, but I come up with a small idea on how to come up with the solution. Like, I'm pretty sure my solution to completely destroy my YouTube addiction came from a small idea to buy a second phone. I'm pretty, and that one idea, eventually I gave it enough thought and I nurtured it enough. And now I have that second phone, and now my YouTube addiction is basically 100% gone. But that wouldn't have happened if I didn't nurture that insight. If I didn't nurture that small thought. Throughout the day, like, what are your techniques to capture these insights? Because you'll forget about it. If not in the next hour, definitely in the next week, you'll forget about it. For me, on my phone, I will have a notepad directly on my phone, where it's right in the center. It's the first thing I see, and all I gotta do is like tap on it, and then like I write in a new note. And all of these practice routines actually come from this system that I'm talking about, where there's just some kind of thought I have in my mind, and then I write it down and I think about it. It's like, yeah, it's a good one. And it happens so much now where I'm able to speak at a rate where I can upload one video a day, just speaking on the insights that come to me. Like, for me, this system of speaking about my insights is just kind of how I integrate these new ideas that come to me. And then as a result, after I finish this video, I will have created more thoughts and I would have attached more strings to other parts of my mind, like from just this one concept. I will attach that concept to more parts of my mind, and that will strengthen the entire network of my knowledge. And so one important thing to understand here as well is that, take this one idea I'm talking about, where like it's talking about nurturing these small insights, right? Nurturing your small ideas. That's a node in the system of my knowledge network. And right now, I am strengthening that node. I am adding depth to the roots of this idea, such that when it's added into the rest of my network, and when I make more connections between my other pieces of my knowledge network, the value of my entire network will grow. This is one of the most amazing things about being an autodidact, if I pronounce that correctly, being a self-learner, where you create this huge network around all of your ideas and you figure out how to connect them all together. But it starts with nurturing those small ideas that just come and they're fleeting. And so many of them I would have forgotten if I didn't write them down then and there. For me at this point, it's just survival. Because if I don't write down my insights, then my mind can't be clear. I will hold on to that insight, and I'll hold on to it because I don't want to forget it, because I know it's valuable. So for me, it's just a survival strategy, so I can have a sane mind, I can have a clear mind, a peaceful mind. Because every day it's a constant download. And as I grow more and self-actualize more, the download is becoming greater, as time goes on, as I develop my mind even more, as I learn even more deeper aspects about reality. And that's awesome. That means I can give deeper insights to you guys. And what you're seeing here is just that process, actually, where I've created so much momentum now, where at least right now it seems like I can speak at a rate of making one of these videos at least once a day. And that's awesome. So what I suggest, if you want to really maximize your self-improvement and your growth on this journey, is, all those little insights, all those little things, those little unique insights tuned to your specific scenario. It's like, oh, that's a good idea. Don't just hang on to it in your mind. Write it down. And then actually expand on it by writing more on it, or create a self-reflection system where you not only write it down, but you put it in your commonplace book. If you haven't started a commonplace book yet, other people call this a second brain. And then, riff on it, write more about it, or do a speaking routine like this, or do a voice recording, something like that. For me to speak like this is an amazing way to encourage the flow of thoughts. I don't know what's going to come out next, but I'm in such a habit to keep on speaking that once I got that momentum going, I'm able to just generate insights because it just flows out of me. It's very interesting how that works. I've on a consistent basis surprised myself with what I've been able to say on these videos. I have no idea what the hell I'm gonna say. I just have an idea where I'm inspired around it, and I want to talk all around it to explain it. And then I end up connecting it to all these other things. And that's where I talk about, that's where this comes in, where I strengthen my entire knowledge network. I'm strengthening that one node, and I'm making roots into the rest of the network. And that's awesome. So try this. Anytime you get a little inkling about oh, this would be a good idea, write it down and then expand on it. whether using a video, writing, or voice, or even just voice to text, right? What I'll end up doing a lot of times is I will have all these ideas, and then it will be just a huge fucking mess in a giant notepad file, and I'll have several notepads, and like every month or so I will combine them all together, and then I will intentionally read through all of them, and then I will organize them into categories, that I find necessary. Excuse me. And from there, I can see which insights are actually worth continuing and seeing which ones are worth forgetting. Sometimes I'll think about something, I'll ruminate about something, and I'll read it, and I'll be like, great, I'm glad I read that again, but, I'm okay if I forget about it for now, A lot of times we think we need to do something, when in reality, it's the heat of the moment that gives us that sense of urgency. So we write it down, and then we forget about it for a month, look at it a month later, and be like, yeah, that wasn't very important. So try this on, for a month. Write down every single insight, little tiny inkling insight you got, and then expand on it. And especially when you're inspired, there's something magical about being inspired. When I speak, the times that I can speak the most about something is when I'm inspired about a topic. I amaze myself with how much I can speak on something when I'm inspired. 10 minutes becomes very easy to speak about. It becomes very easy for me to speak for 10 minutes. Not only because I've created the skill of doing this practice routine stuff every day, but also because I'm speaking on topics that kind of had a little light bulb go off in my mind. And those moments where that light bulb goes off my mind, it's probably because it connects a whole bunch of other stuff in my mind in such that it makes sense. For something to make sense for you, it has to kind of connect the dots a little bit for you, and those dots are individual nodes of knowledge that you already have. So when you're explaining that one dot that all the other dots are connected to, you're able to go through each individual dot, each individual piece of knowledge, and circle around it, and then generate the foundation for the node that you're trying to explain. And then as a result, you're strengthening all the nodes around it, and then you're strengthening the new node that you're creating. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense for you. It makes sense for me. But, I'm plagued by my own self-bias and perspective, so. With that, implement a self-reflection system where you can expand on these small ideas and just watch yourself grow faster than ever before, because you had the courage to look a little bit deeper into these small insights. It's not always the big insights that hit you on the side of, on the side of the head like a brick that are going to change your life. Sometimes it's a very small insight that you water every single day, and then eventually it becomes the biggest standing oak in your garden. So with that, I would like to thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.